Hello everyone and welcome to another Heffy Doodle video. Today I'm playing with the new Crumbs stamp set and coordinating dies, plus the new alphabet dies, which I can't remember their name. It'll be linked below. Anyway, I'm starting with a piece of Neenah 110-pound cardstock and my Distress Oxide inks. This is Tattered Rose, Worn Lipstick, and Abandoned Coral, and I'm using my Nuvo blender brushes to blend them on, and I seriously think it looks perfect. This is perfect ink blending. So I'm going to use this MFT Wonky stitched rectangle die and run it through my Spellbinder's Platinum die cutting machine. It just leaves some wonky stitches around the outside as well as a border between it and the card base. So I'm now trying to decide between two glitter cardstocks. One is Lawn Fawn and the other is Tonic Studios. They're both their shade of white, but I believe the Lawn Fawn cardstock is a little bit whiter, and I kind of liked the pink look for this. So I'm using the Tonic Studios glitter card. I think it's called Sugar Crystal. And I'm using these alphabet dies by Heffy Doodle to cut out a very special sentiment from the alphabet dies. I want it to say Chim Chim Cheree. Chim Chim Cheree. If you can tell me what movie that's from, please leave it in the comments below. I think it looks great. I also cut out those letters from plain white Neenah 110-pound cardstock to give them some dimension. We're going to adhere those or layer those together later in the video. I'm using Nuvo Clear Mark embossing powder in my Mini Misty to stamp on FOG cardstock. I'm using the clear sticky ink to use Ranger white embossing powder to heat emboss the sentiment you are just my cup of tea. So it says, Chim Chim Cheree, you are just my cup of tea. I know, right? Tim kind of just smiled and nodded at this one, which I guess it's okay. I get some of those. But I'm using my Heffy Doodle memo tape to tape down my Heffy Doodle strips of ease to cut out that sentiment. I'm just lining it up to the one end of the sentiment, and then I'll use my scissors to cut off the other end. I try to make this as straight as possible, but I think it looks fine no matter what. So to adhere those letters, the Chim Chim Cheree letters, together, I'm using Tombow Mono liquid adhesive. I don't prefer using this liquid adhesive for this technique because it stays sticky and whatever splooges out the side is sticky, and then it makes the letters harder to deal with, kind of like my husband. But you know, I'm trying to use it up. I'm trying to use up all the glue so that I can get some new. But I don't think there's anything wrong with Tombow Mono. It just stays tacky, and for that particular thing, I don't really prefer it. I'm using some Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink, which is Copic friendly ink, and I'm stamping on Neenah 110-pound cardstock. If you do not enjoy watching other people color, you can skip ahead past this mumbo jumbo. I do have a Copic color map for you listing all of the markers that I use to color this image. You can either screenshot it here or go over to my blog and save it to Pinterest. That's what I like to do. I have a whole slew of them over on Pinterest, not just mine, but all the ones that I see that interest me. So if you ever want Copic color combinations, my Copic color combination Pinterest board is where it's at. So I'm just using some tan markers. This is like the E30s to color these corgis. That's the type of dog these are. I believe these are the Queen's dogs. And I looked them up so that I could see what colors they were. And they're gorgeous, gorgeous animals. And so I'm trying to mimic those types of colors, the white of the belly and the tan of the back and the ears. And they seem to be all kind of different, which is typical for dogs. I also stamped some gorgeous pottery, some china, for tea because of the sentiment, you are just my cup of tea, you know. And there's also some, like a bowl of sugar that I also applied some Ranger Stickles, like sprinkled sugar on top to make them a little bit glittery. But after I colored all of my images, I used the coordinating dies to cut them out, and I am ready to put this card together. I'm using the Tombow Mono, which is good adhesive. It just stays tacky, which is kind of a good thing, but So I adhered the "You Are Just My Cup of Tea" sentiment strip with some Scotch 3M foam tape. I popped it up and I tried to make it as straight as possible with my tea ruler, and that's kind of giving me the guidelines of where to put my little letters. I was going to use the press and seal. I was going to line them all up and then use the press and seal to pick them up and then place them on my card like magic. But I never reached for the press and seal. Like, I got it all ready and then I started doing this. So I'm sorry that I couldn't show you that little trick, but this works too. I just lined up my tea ruler and I didn't really care where these letters were, just that they were somewhat straight and they gave me areas in which I could adhere my images. So as long as it could be read the way that I intended it to read, and it gave me spaces to adhere my images scattered throughout the card, I really didn't care if they were perfectly straight. I used Scotch 3M foam tape to adhere the majority of the images. All of the 3 dog or corgi images were popped up, and then I did adhere some flat to the card base with the Tombow liquid adhesive, and then I also used glue dots for some of the really small images. I just find that that's really easy for me to adhere them that way. You know, Tim hates the word adhere. Like, he hates it because I say it all the time. He hates it. That's my card for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I really like it. Please find Heffy Doodle on social media. I love interacting with you. And until next time.